How many of you here remember the first video I ever made on my first channel, the Wrangler Barn channel? I'll bet there's not one. I would be surprised if there was one. The first video I ever did was a gear review of my favorite shop tool. This is it right here. This is the very tool. Come a long way since then. The reason for this video, or the point of it, is I wanted to take a minute and share with you all of the cameras that I've used over the 7 odd years or so I've been making YouTube videos. This is the first one right here. I used this particular camera to make my first gear review of my favorite shop tool, the Snap-on panel tool. That was a long time ago, and I am quite happy that that's not still around for people to watch, because it was not very good. I remember YouTube was starting to become popular and people were starting to really post videos, and I became interested in it. And I remember I went out to Costco because I didn't have a digital video camera, and I bought this. It was not a dedicated video camera, it was not HD, and the video quality was terrible. I only made a few videos with this camera, not too many. Maybe, I don't remember, I would say 6 to a dozen or so. But that was where it all started. I went back to Costco and I purchased a flip camera. And I used this flip camera through all the Wrangler Barn days and all of the Wranglerstar days up until, I would say, probably about a year and a half ago. That's pretty amazing what great little cameras these were. Unfortunately, they are no longer in production, but they did have some drawbacks. They did not have a forward-facing screen, so you never really knew if you were in frame. You would have to set it up on the tripod and then look into the back. The lens wasn't very wide, so you had to have the camera a great distance away to get things into frame. And that posed problems with the microphone, but a great little camera that was very simple to use, easy to carry around, and I just loved it. And I still use them today. I liked it so well that I bought two. This was the later version. I think this was the last version that they produced. This one was double, this was AAA. But I still use them. You can see that my cameras are covered in sap and pitch, and they really get abused. These are the cameras that I'll tie to trees or different things when I'm trying to get interesting shots that I don't mind, or it won't break my heart if they were to go away. So let's start a little chronological list here. So after that, of course, the GoPro started coming out, and I had to have a GoPro, try that out. And these do have a place. They're kind of cool, fun to play with, but they are not a very good camera for your only camera. The lens is exceedingly wide, and if you use the camera inside of the waterproof case, you essentially don't have any audio. The microphone is unusable. The interface on them are very crummy. You never really know. It's hard to know when they're on, when they're off. You don't have a monitor on the back, so it's kind of harkens back to the old days of photography with film. You get a surprise when you open it up at home, and it's not always a pleasant surprise. This one here belongs to my sister, the Fresh Pea. The one that I had purchased, I used it on a couple of videos and ended up taking it back. So I didn't really press that one into service too much. So as much time as I was spending out, it was kind of at the time just before the Back to Basics series videos, and I was out in the snow, and I was really concerned about ruining the cameras. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get a waterproof camera. This was the most expensive camera I ever bought, and the worst. This was a Sony camera. It was supposed to be really durable, really waterproof, able to withstand shocks. I remember the first time that I knocked it over on a tripod, which is standard for me all the time, it essentially started to disintegrate. The whole bottom fell off the case, the buttons all broke out. Very disappointing for a $700 camera. Sony always used to be so good. When I grew up, they were kind of, if you were to buy a Sony computer or a Sony monitor or television, it was always a cut above. It was kind of a premium product, and you paid more for it. And so I grew up with that and really liking Sony, but the last few things I've had from them have been really poor quality, and I will not buy another Sony product until they show me otherwise. But very disappointing what I could have had in a camera for the cost of this one. So this camera was very short-lived. I used this to film the Back to Basics series. And then I stepped up to, or I don't know, I got a Canon. I got a Canon Hf R 300. And this is a great camera and is a predecessor of the one that I'm filming with today, which I'll show you here in a minute. You're probably wondering what this Scotch-Brite pad is on these cameras. These are my homemade windscreens. The mic is on the top on the Sony and on the front on the Canon, and this is just a little kitchen scrubber. You can just cut a little bit out with a piece of scissors and glue it on there, and it makes a very, very effective windscreen. Cuts out most of the wind and doesn't really mess up your audio too awfully bad. Very great camera. If you can see here, you'll see this camera has been abused. I've used this one for the last 8 months or so, whatever, 6 months, every day. This has been the go-to camera. Great big extended battery and simple to use. A couple gripes, things that I do detest and hate about this camera is it didn't automatically boot up when you flip the flipper. I don't want to geek out on a camera. I need a camera that's very simple and easy to use. It's common for me to shoot 125, 100 different individual takes for a 10-minute video, and I can't be fussing with fiddly things. And this little on button right there on the back, which is almost impossible to activate with gloves on, has been the bane of my existence. I really missed that flip open automatic boot feature like the Sony had, and I did not like this at well. Slow to focus, not the best camera, but it was a cheap camera. You're talking about a $200, $250 camera, so hard to complain. The only reason I'm not using it today is that I burned the lens with some sparks on a grinder that I had too close on filming a video. And if you notice, the last few videos I shot had a lot of artifacts in the lens, and that wasn't dirt, it's irreplaceable. Fortunately, I got this, this came with a free 3-year extended warranty unconditional. I'm going to send it back and see what happens. Then maybe they'll repair it, maybe they'll send a new one. So, but overall, it's been a good camera. So, I'm going to switch cameras and I'll show you the one that I'm currently using that I really like, kind of. And this brings us to the camera that I am currently using that I like. There are a lot of features I like about it. This is the Canon Vixia Hf R 500. This is about a $300, $250, $300 camera, and they have really come a long ways. It's the predecessor to the one I just previously showed you. It boots up when you open up the flipper, which is a huge feature. No longer an on-off button. They've moved it to the inside, which you can only use that if you are, if it just goes to sleep. And then you've got a play button. So no fiddling around, no foolishness, simply a play and on-off button. The menus are accessed through the touchscreen, which are crummy, but you don't use them that often anyway. Nice thing about the Canons is they have a mic in, a little mic in feature, and that is nice. It gives you some options for wireless mic. I've liked this camera. The zoom, the focus has been good. The battery life with the extended $100 battery or 80 or 90, whatever it is, ridiculous. But you need to have it if you're gonna make YouTube videos. Easy access zoom on the top and bottom. A good camera. The microphone on this is terrible. This is the second one. The first one I took back because it was fading in and fading out. It was a nightmare, and this one here is not a whole lot better. I don't know why the mic is so bad on this camera. That has brought me to something I'm testing now and I'm using is the Canon Wireless Mic right here. This has got the windscreen on it, but it's a Bluetooth microphone that there's two parts. The other piece, the receiver, hooks to the camera and looks just the same. And that's what I'm using now. So there's a learning curve with using a wireless microphone, and I haven't exactly got it all figured out, so bear with me until I do, but I think it's going to work pretty good. And it does add another level of complexity that's really a hassle, but you know, it's so important to have good audio, and I have not had good audio the last few videos, so I'm trying to remedy that. So that's it. That is my camera collection. That's what I have used, and that's all I got. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.